Hello and welcome. It's another episode of the Triple P podcast, or quadruple, or centuple, or whatever, because we just keep adding on B's. What B are we going to add on this week, I wonder? I can't think of any more B words.
Bearded Buds and Bob Barker's Busting Balls for
Buttless.
Bears.
No.
Buttless. Okay.
Bearded Buttless Bears.
Buttless doesn't make any sense.
No, we've talked about this. No one here has a butt. We just
okay, I remember.
We all have the Hank Hill butt.
Reference from like 2 months ago. There you go.
There you go. For our loyal listener, there's another reference to our butts. I hope you enjoyed it. There's like one guy like, haha, they talked about their butts again. Yeah, yay. Anywho,
you're welcome.
Yeah.
So we're going to continue on with this Triple B podcast with the new format. We will actually keep it in a more brisk situation this time, a brisk time frame, and not go freaking way
There's the other
overboard.
B. Brisk.
Ooh, brisk buds. No, sorry. Stay focused.
I like the brisk. Anyway, so what we're going to be discussing today is our favorite video game villains ever. Now, we're going to split this up. This episode, we're talking about the A tier. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they are A. Some on this list, I think we can all agree, are actually S tier, but it's just what we have reserved for the S tier just tops it. So think of this as wave 1 of the best game villains ever. So, before we get to that, I gotta ask, what are you drinking?
Ooh.
Matt, start off. Give me a second.
Make sure you're wearing pants this time, bud.
Yep,
every time. Have to find
out. I am drinking this pineapple flavored. I like that Scott's starting and doing a little butt dance. So for those that are only listening, you've chosen correctly not to watch this one. Just going to drop that one there. I am drinking this pineapple scotch mixed with Sprite. It is wonderful, and I absolutely love it.
I'm going to take your word for it because that sounds not great. But I've been surprised. I didn't think I'd like peanut butter whiskey, and here we are. I love it. And then Scott, so you went to all that trouble. I'll go last. What are you getting? Dr. Pepper?
It's not just Dr. Pepper. It is Dr. Pepper strawberries and cream.
Oh, man. How is that? I have not had it.
I do not know. So I'm actually a collector of drinks, whether it's of the alcoholic or non-alcoholic variety. But a lot of them I'm too scared to drink. So this one's been sitting in my fridge for like 2 months. And for you, ladies and gentlemen, I am actually going to finally crack it open and drink it. And my thoughts?
Oh, man. He's thinking. He's pondering.
You know what? It is a lot better than I thought it would be. This is quite refreshing.
Do you like it? Do you like it more than a regular Dr. Pepper?
Well, let's put it this way. I hate Dr. Pepper.
So why did you get that? Drink. Why is that?
It was a gift. It was a gift.
Okay, that's acceptable.
It was a gift.
So Scott will drink anything gifted to him. Just FYI, if you ever meet Scott.
That's the truth. That is the truth.
Anything.
A jar of yellow
liquid.
Send it on
no questions asked. No questions asked.
And I'm being boring again. I got my giant water jug here and my Coke.
Coke Zero?
My Coke Zero. I'm trying to, I went on a major weight loss and then I stopped. COVID just showed up and was like, ha-ha! And I'm trying to get back on it. I'm finally exercising and lifting weights again to where I was, so I'm trying to be good. I'm boring and sad.
Listen, we all get more boring the older we get. That's just the name of the game.
I want to live longer, so trying my best.
I mean, jury's out if I want to, but at least I'm going to enjoy this pineapple scotch with a Sprite. That's what I'm going to do.
All right. Well, now that the drinks are out of the way.
And a little bit of depression. Let's go.
A little bit of depression. A little bit of reality. What are you playing?
Ooh. All right. So obviously we're all playing Tears of the Kingdom. We don't need to talk about that.
Yeah, let's say what else
we don't
other than that are you playing?
Okay.
I have been playing the game I've been playing the most. There's been two. If we don't count on my regular streaming games, the game I've been playing the most has been Advanced Wars. They rebooted, the remastered Advance Wars. There's originally a Game Boy Advance game. I don't like tactic games, but this is like baby's first tactic game. It was a great fun on the Advance. I think they did a really great job bringing it to the Switch. I don't think it should have cost the amount that it has, but I'm having a lot of fun with this game. Technically, you get 2 games in one, but it feels like one game. I'm having a lot of fun with Advance Wars. That was one of my favorite games on the Advance for sure. So I've been jamming with that, having a blast.
Same here. Like that's like literally like. So I'm switching between Tears of the Kingdom, Advance Wars. Advance Wars is like my. You know what? I just want a little. I don't want to get like. Dive into something crazy. So yeah, I agree. I think my one downside with it that I think that would have actually made that price tag a little bit more tolerable is if the online wasn't just with friends.
I know. How stupid is that? Like, I don't know what Nintendo's problem is with making games that you can play with anybody. Like a game, maybe they just were so concerned, like people were just going to abuse the system, let the timer run out. But like games like this, you could easily make online with anybody. It is so stupid and outdated. I don't understand Nintendo's infatuation with like making the worst internet online experience you can. At this point, I think they're doing it just because they're like, screw you, dude. But you're going to pay us anyways.
Now, because the problem is that they have made huge advancements. Look at Mario Party Superstars. That's perfect online. That's how online should function.
Except you can only play mini games with randoms. You still have to be connected with friends to play an actual board game, which is stupid.
But it is better.
Are you sure? Because I swear I played a mini game with a rando one day.
Mini games, yes. Mini games,
like
yes.
on a board. I was on the cake board.
Tell you what, someone in the comments can tell me I'm wrong, but I tried to do it. Maybe I'm stupid, and you can let me know.
Or maybe they added it after the fact. Maybe I played it like. After.
All I know is like I couldn't find a way to play an actual Mario Party game with randoms outside of just like the mini game plaza type crap. But they do have decent online. Like Mario Kart 8 is pretty good. Splatoon is overall pretty good. Smash is fine.
Yeah, they've made advances, but they just pick and choose now, and I don't. And it doesn't help that they sent Advance Wars out to die, before Tears of the Kingdom. But anyway, that's what we're playing. Scott, what are you playing?
I just want to note that I had a really raunchy joke, but you guys didn't give me an opportunity to throw it in there, and now I even forget what it was. So how dare you? You did.
That's actually how I do all my conversations with Scott. Is like I see this dirty glint in his eye. I'm like, I'm going to keep talking until he loses it.
Effective, very effective. For me, I'm not playing anything else right now but Tears of the Kingdom. For good reason. But one is a freaking baller game. Two, I'm trying very, very, very hard to get as much as I can done in that game. I can't get everything done in time, but I'm trying to get as much out of the way for Diablo 4. Because I know once Diablo 4 comes out, then I'm going to have to be switching gears, playing Diablo. And then after a couple weeks of Diablo, then I'm going to be getting AEW Fight Forever. And it's just the whole thing. So right now I'm in kind of... Me and you both. So right now I'm just kind of in a sprint. I'm playing so much of something, I get sick of it, and then it makes it easier for me to move on to the next thing. So that's Scott's strategy right now.
Burnout, baby. Scott Burnout Stevens. I like it. All right, so you know what? I'm going to go first this round.
Oh, let's go. Bring it on.
You deserve it, Mike. You deserve it. You never go first.
You deserve nice things.
Yeah, so I'm going to... you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put an honorable mention in here. Like somebody else we know.
Dang it.
Trademark infringement.
Please don't sue me, Scott. So just a quick honorable mention. This was actually going to be my guy. But news came out today, and it just got me really thinking. I went, you know what? I got to mark out a little bit here. So the honorable mention for Ganon. Matt's holding up his Ganondorf amiibo from Smash Brothers, a very, very good design.
Which was gifted to me by Scott Stevens.
Awesome.
He actually made me fight him for it. He's like, Matt, you have to beat me at Smash Brothers. I was like, done.
You should have done something else if you wanted to make him work for it.
I love this amiibo.
It is great. It's a great design.
Scott,
honestly.
You're cool. Thank you, Scott.
I have the same Ganondorf amiibo in my room. So the same one. I sneak in there at night and grab Matt's and then bring it over to my... So
that's impressive because we live all the way across the country from each other. Nicely done. Can you fix my AC while you're at it?
I can break it more.
I mean, apparently Scott's Santa, so why can't he? So anyway, Wind Waker Ganon specifically. So honorable mention to Wind Waker Ganon. I love that villain. I love his design. I love the color coding of the black and the red, the juxtaposition. I love his accentuated nose and how freaking crazy it is. And that boss fight, the scene, the fight itself, everything about it's so epic. And even the way that he dies
Thank you.
is
Thank
like
you.
the most gruesome in a Zelda game, which is so funny because you were literally just a kid looking for a sister, and he just had it with you because you kept hassling him and his sister, and so he just stabs him in the head. Man, it's just it's great, great, great. Honorable mention. Who I actually want to talk about in this episode. So we just got news, Scott. Matt, I know you're kind of indifferent on it. Scott, what news did we get today that both of us are just so excited about?
One of Scott's top 5 favorite games of all time is getting remade. Hey, even though the studio is totally incompetent now, I'm going to go and give them the benefit of the doubt and hope that they pull it off. Remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Now, what is it? Metal Gear Delta?
Or Triangle, Snake Eater. Whatever. Yeah, I don't even care. Just call it Snake Eater. Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater.
I am not, with this said, like, I think Metal Gear Solid 2 was an game. Never played 4, but I will always consider, like, the Metal Gear franchise, like, one of my most beloved franchises, single-handedly because of 3, how much I love that game. Like, almost the perfect game, in my opinion.
It's great. Great game. So anyway, that was announced today, along with the Metal Gear Master Collection, which is Volume 1, so maybe we're getting more. Can only hope. Anyway, so with that being said, one of my favorite villains of all time and memorable villain came from Metal Gear Solid 1. Now, you may be thinking maybe he's going to talk about Vulcan Raven, because he's this big giant dude with a giant Gatling gun who can, like, pull a crow out of his head and put the crow back in. No, not going to go there. Maybe you're thinking Sniper Wolf, who is this extremely beautiful woman with a very unique outfit. We'll say unique, who is really, 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 really good with a sniper rifle and talks to wolves. She's a friend of wolves. No, it's not her. Maybe you're thinking Mantis. Psycho Mantis has the best boss fight in the entire game. So cool. Nope, not that either. We got Revolver Ocelot. We got Cyborg Ninja. We got everybody. I'm going for the big kahuna himself. I'm talking about Liquid Snake this time. Now, I have reasons for choosing Liquid, and some of them are personal, because Metal Gear Solid was like, actually, I think it was my first M-rated game, and I have a whole story associated with that. I've talked about that in a past personal podcast I've done. So, you know, it's kind of personal, but I have some points of why he is such a great villain and an A-class villain, A-tier villain. Let's start off with his character itself. He is so over the top and extra. You can't help but just be entertained. I mean, he's always swinging his arms. He's always overemphasizing things. And let's segue into, he is always talking. He speaks like he's just better than you, and you know it. Little wrestling reference there for you if anybody is watching this that watches wrestling. But he speaks down on everybody, and he has this accent. It's like that the I'm assuming it's British accent that you just love to hate him. You're just like, dude, you're not that great, but you think you are the best in the world, and you just hate him. And there's something to be said. So I mentioned Vulcan Raven, crazy superpower. Sniper Wolf, crazy skills with weird animal things going on there. You've got Psycho Mantis, who can literally read your mind or your memory card. I mean, there are all these memorable bosses, and they're all superpowered. They're all superhuman. And yet he enlisted them and became their boss and told them what to do and grouped them together. You gotta be somebody special to do that. Those guys could have steamrolled him and said, we're taking over, we're gonna do it ourselves. No. Liquid's better than you, and you know it. He's got the mullet thing going on. I mean, you know, he's got the long wavy hair, a little bit formal in the front, definitely a party going on in the back. And he has so many epic moments that I can think of. I'm sure even so Scott, I don't know if you play. I don't remember. Did you play Metal Gear Solid 1?
I did
Okay.
not.
So the other cool thing is that, and this is a slight spoiler for Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid 4, he just doesn't die. He somehow, like, in his hand gets grafted onto somebody else. I'm not going to get into the specifics in case for spoilers. Gets grafted onto somebody else, and so his genes take over that person. But it doesn't stop there. He just keeps going. He doesn't, like, age. It's just, he just keeps going. I don't understand it, nor do I need to understand it. He just won't die. He just won't go away. And that is a sign of a great villain. The villain that is just the arch nemesis, right? Like in comics, the one that always keeps coming back. And he's got so many memorable moments. I'm sure there's some from 2, and you said you never played 4. But in 1, he had these memorable moments. Like there's one time where literally you're a man fighting a helicopter. You're fighting a helicopter. And the entire time, he's just screaming at you over the loudspeaker. And I still hear his voice and the tone of it and everything about it. I still hear it. It's just, it's there. And he's just yelling at you. And then, like, when you hit him, the noises he makes. He crushes a certain person underneath his giant metal robot underneath the foot. I'm not going to say who it is because, again, spoilers for anybody who has somehow never played these games before or doesn't know anything about them. And the way that he does it, it's like he stomps and then he's like, pow, pow, pow. He like rubs his foot and it's just like so extra. And then the fight that you have, there's 2 fights with him. The fight that you have with him in Metal Gear Rex. So if you're not familiar with the games, Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear, there's always a new robot being made called Metal Gear. In 1, it was Metal Gear Rex. In 2, it was Metal Gear, the fish, the amphibian one. I can't remember what it was called. There's always some new Metal Gear, so some new giant military robot. And it opens up its mouth. It's such a cool design. And so when it opens up its mouth, he's sitting inside. It's like he's in the cockpit and he just kind of comes down and he's looking at you in the side of this thing's mouth. And he's fighting you. And so like what you have to do is first he's up there. You can't hurt him. So you have to take out the way that he can see. And when you take it out, then he drops down and you're fighting him while he's in this. Oh, it's such a memorable fight. It wasn't until the second fight, which is actually not that great, that I realized that he's so epic. You fight him hand-to-hand combat, okay? That's literally the final fight. It's just literally punch each other's lights out and whoever beats the other wins. He does not wear a shirt the entire time. He is completely shirtless the entire time. They are in Alaska. In freezing weather. He has gloves on. He has pants on. No shirt.
I just need to interrupt real quick because I know this character model, but I've been trying to picture your description of this character as someone who's never played the game. And you know what I'm picturing? I'm picturing him as freaking Joe Dirt.
He looks like Joe Dirt, but
I'm
like
picturing
buff.
Joe Dirt shirtless, a little buff, with his mullet inside this big giant metal mouth. Yeehaw, you are fighting Joe Dirt. Give me the Metal Gear Solid Joe Dirt Rising. That is what I need.
It just opens up and he goes, "You're my sister. You're my sister."
Oh, no. Now we're back. Continue, Mike. Ugh.
Just insert more over dramatic brata, then you got it.
Yeah, I mean, he's in the final thing too. And again, I'm trying not to spoil things because I never know what's okay to spoil and what's not okay to spoil. That's my, I don't know, whatever. He tricks the player the entire game. And I think that was my first taste of that in a video game, and maybe even in like films or media in general, where like I go through this whole game and you're speaking to somebody very specific throughout the game, and then all of a sudden like the music changes and it's like that realization and it's him. And I remember being a kid going, what? And it just blew me away. He's smart, he's conniving, he's extra, he apparently has leadership, and he doesn't need a shirt. I wish I could do that. I wish I could pull that off. I can't pull that off.
Have you tried?
Yeah, doesn't work.
Try it on the next podcast. Let's see what happens.
I'll try to go buy. I don't, a little bit hard to do a mullet. But
I mean,
maybe
I don't need the mullet.
I'll buy a mullet.
Yeah, you buy a mullet and you go shirtless. We'll do this in a hot tub. Let's go. We're gonna do the Joe Dirt's podcast.
Mike Dirt. So that's my first pick. Liquid Snake from the Metal Gear Solid series, specifically 1, 2, and 4. Well, specifically 1, because that's my heart one.
I have nothing to contribute other than I'm just picturing Joe Dirt ruling the world right now. Scott, I know you got some thoughts on this one because you played the franchise.
So I almost wanted to butt in with Mike about the whole thing of Liquid Snake taking over a certain character, and that was 100% correct, Mike. But I'll let you slide. You're gonna have to play the game yourself.
I'm trying to dumb things down enough and not give things away.
I will have to give it to Metal Gear Solid. It is one of the most convoluted, very hard to keep up with video game storylines ever. But yeah, to be honest, I don't have a lot of feedback on Liquid. Honestly, if I had to go and list my favorite Metal Gear villains, it would be Metal Gear Solid 2, Metal Gear Solid 3 related, which Liquid had no role at all in Metal Gear Solid 3 and only a very brief appearance in 2. So yeah, I don't really have a ton to add to this one either.
Yeah, so you know the series, you know who he is, but you don't really have any connections like I do, because Metal Gear Solid was my first mature game, and seeing that kind of villain, it was like an extra Batman villain, but Joe Dirt.
All right, I'm just gonna dive on the next one. I'm gonna dive on mine. So this is my A-list villain, and I was thinking about villains, and on the upcoming podcast, we're gonna gush about a villain in particular that we all were like, this is the one we have to talk about. And I'm excited to dive into that one. So I had to think a little bit more because I had my 1 and 2. So this is technically my third, but since we are going to spend some time talking about this one that we collectively said, yeah, that's the best. I thought long and hard, and I think this definitely deserves to be on this list. And what I love about this villain is it's a villain that you didn't really think was the villain. Because when you start playing this particular game, you're just like, oh, that's funny. Oh, that's a neat character. Okay, this is a narrator that's helping me get through things. And then the game dramatically changes and you're like, wait, this helpful voice is the bad guy? I'm, of course, talking about Gladys from Portal 1 and Portal 2, which are games that are probably relatively cheap right now on Steam because, Valve made it. If you've never played Portal 1 or 2, seriously do yourself a favor. Portal 1 you can beat in 3 hours. Portal 2, I want to say 15, 16 hours. And Portal 2, just quick shout out, had a phenomenal 2-player mode, completely different than the single-player mode, which is why I really enjoyed Explosion Man so much. 2 very different modes. Anywho, Gladys from Portal 1 and Portal 2. If you have not played Portal, you're a monster, and I do not care that I'm spoiling anything here because you've had your time. And even if you've never played the game, don't care. After you hear this, go play Portal.
Here I am
Gladys,
trying to create no spoilers, and you're like, screw it.
Don't care. Don't care. You've missed out. If you haven't played it yet, you should still play it. Gladys is an AI robot in the Portal universe. And in Portal 1, she's introduced as the creator and overseer of these puzzles that you must solve. Eventually, you get some serious doubts and questions as to what is happening, and you get a massive swerve when you find out she is, in fact, in charge and trying to kill you after you complete her tests. During the whole game, she has this dry, amazing wit and delivery that you find endearing at first. And then it starts to turn on you, and you go from oh, that's... I'm kind of scared now. I actually have some panic. My heart is kind of thumping. I'm panicking a little bit because when it turns on you, it is scary as all get out. Her moments of saying things like, I know where you are just peak. And the malice that she delivers is beyond incredible. She basically plays the role of this backhanded complimenting evil mom that you see in movies and TV shows, oh, bless your heart type deal. Or yellow's not really your color. You should do this. Just stupid things like that. she brings this to a whole other level as you play as this character that she just backhand compliments the entire time. And she has some amazing lines and delivery, which I will read some of them in just a moment. But for me, what really sticks out for her is one, there's a song at the end of Portal that took the internet by storm. Took the internet by storm. If you've never played Portal, you probably heard this song, the This Was a Triumph song. It is incredible. That came from this game. And that was this voice of Gladys. But what makes her so memorable is just that change, that sudden change as you're thinking, oh, this is a puzzle platforming game, to like, holy crap, this is a survival game. What is happening? And her delivery throughout the entire game is just so freaking memorable. There is really hardly any physical identity that you can apply to Gladys, but you just hear this voice. And to me, that just makes such a good villain where you don't even see her. You don't even know what she looks like. You just know she's this sort of weird rogue AI robot thing. And the enemy is the voice itself. That to me was incredible and just stuck out. And here are some great lines I need to share from her. Okay. These are some great, great lines. 1, you euthanize your faithful companion cube faster than any test subject on record. Congratulations. This game gives you a certain item that you actually grow a weird attachment to, and to complete a puzzle, you essentially destroy it. And then she says that line, just deadpan, cold, and callous. And if you were like me and most gamers, you probably stopped and went like, was I supposed to do that?
Or you looked before, you're like, is there another way?
Yeah. Did I do something wrong? And just the way it makes you feel, just that delivery is just so incredible. She says things like, here comes the test results. You are a horrible person. We weren't even testing for that. Just this dry delivery is incredible. And here's one of my personal favorites. Remember before when I was talking about smelly garbage standing around being useless? That was a metaphor. I was actually talking about you. Just delivery like that throughout the entire game is so incredible. And then again, it just flips on you when like you get out of range of wherever her cameras are, and she says things again, I know where you are. Just that delivery, that transition from, oh, you're a helpful bot, to like, holy crap, you are trying to kill me. She brought a genuine delight, a genuine anger, a genuine fear. And you need to play both games. And a quick shout out to J.K. Simmons, who did the voice in Portal 2, a different voice in Portal 2. And they just contrasted so well with each other. It was absolutely beautiful. Gladys is a top villain for me because, one, it's just a voice. They found a way to make you scared of a voice. The delivery was perfect. The emotions it makes you feel from start to finish are incredible. She is a super memorable villain. And if you've never played Portal, please play Portal. It is so good. I know you guys have played both. Let me have it. What do you think about Gladys as a villain?
So, in case you don't figure out like what type of villain Gladys is, just imagine a gaslighting British mom. I think that, maybe sums it up. I do have to give a little bit of a wag out of the finger to Matt, because technically Gladys wasn't the antagonist of Portal 2. Like, you actually...
I was avoiding some spoilers. Avoiding some spoilers.
Oh, sorry. Whoop, never mind. Scratch it from the record. But yes, I will personally say that while Portal 2 was a great game, I do think Gladys's major impact was in Portal 1. And I'm at the point where, like Matt was saying, there's a song from that game, Still Alive, that was everywhere. And there's a certain, I'll just say the meme, the cake is a lie. It got to the point where I was exposed to both of these so much that it almost made me kind of start to hate the game. But it's far enough away now that I'm back to like, okay, I like the game again. I forgive it. But great game. And yes, great choice on villain right there.
Yeah. I mean, it's that voice is iconic. It's like in Futurama, when you read a line in the professor, like one of the professor's lines, when you read good news, everybody, you don't read just good news, everybody. Good news, everyone, right? Gladys's lines, everything about it, I hear that robotic, deadpan, no intonation, just straight, direct giving those lines. Excellent choice.
I heard that as I was like writing up my notes. I heard that as I was talking about it to you guys. And I know everyone that listens to this is going to hear me mention Gladys. And for the next like couple of minutes after they hear that, they're going to hear her voice again. If you have a character and a voice that instantly you remember, you hear, and can feel, that's the sign that they did a great job with a great villain. I'm glad you guys agree. And I'm looking forward to what Scott's about to bring to the table.
Yeah. Next up.
All right. Well, that's my cue. I think we're all doing a theme of like doing a cryptic lead in to our villain and making you guess for a bit. So my villain, like Matt or Mike said earlier, this villain could very well be considered S tier, like S++ tier. This villain was actually one of the most famous pop culture villains ever, decades before the game I'm about ready to talk about ever came out. This villain, though, ultimately I went with them being A tier, just because you enjoy the villain a little bit more if you know a little bit more about his other forms of media he's appeared in, the TV shows, the movies, the comics. And this villain basically has no redeeming qualities in the fact that he is never on the side of the good guy. He is horrible, despicable to the core. I am talking about the one and only Joker from the Arkham series. So, a little bit of a background on the Arkham series. So, it is basically Batman, the animated series, but in video game form. So, I believe almost all of the voice actors came back. Unfortunately, a couple passed away by the time the Arkham series was worked on. But your big ones came back to reprise their various characters for the Arkham series. In particular, the main one I want to talk about is Mark Hamill. Yes, Mr. Luke Skywalker himself, coming back to do the voice of the Joker. Did the voice of the Joker in Batman the Animated Series, a couple of spin-off movies such as Batman Beyond: Return to Joker, a very fantastic movie if you've never seen it. Despite the fact that, yes, you're going to get a little bit more enjoyment out of his role in the Arkham series if you have grown up watching the animated series like I did, but he is still a very fantastic villain, standalone, even if you've never watched any other movie, show, anything the Joker was in. And here's the reason why. One, I cannot go and give enough praise to Mark Hamill and the job that he does on Joker's voice. Like, people always argue about online, like, who's the best Joker? Heath Ledger, Jared Leto, Joaquin Phoenix, all that stuff. And I say, like, nah, bro, it's Mark Hamill. And the game demonstrates that. He does such a phenomenal job with his voice. And something that's going to be kind of a little spoiler for the next villain I talk about in the next episode. One of the villains that I really appreciate is that type of villain that you can laugh at. And they give, they say the lulls, you laugh along, they make you smile. And then just like that, they do something that like completely goes and makes the situation take a 180. And it's like, oh, wait. All right, this guy was making me laugh a second ago, but that was pretty horrible. Like they make you laugh, but deep down inside, this is not a very good person. This is a pretty terrible person, and nobody captures that like the Joker. I mean, it's right there in his name, the Joker, and some of the horrible acts he does. So let me go and basically give you a rundown of like the plot points of the games. First game is all about him taking over Arkham Asylum. Was just a big plot, him getting captured and incarcerated there just so he can take over the location. And then he goes and works on a super soldier serum that he eventually gives to himself and turns into a freaked out, roided up monster that, would make any professional wrestler proud. And then you end up, defeating him in the final epic showdown, Monster Joker. The reason I gave those big spoilers is because that's pretty essential to the plot of the following games. Batman Arkham City, which is actually my personal favorite of the trilogy. The very interesting thing is Joker is not actively fighting against you. He is on his deathbed. He is dying from the side effects of what he did to himself in the first game. And basically, he injects whatever he's dying from into Batman. And basically, it's like, all right, Batman, save yourself. Find a cure for it. And then by extension, I'll go and take that cure and use it on myself too. So help you, help me. And again, spoilers from Arkham City. Like Matt said, at this point, if you haven't played it yet, you're lost. And I can't really talk about the third game unless talking about this plot point. Actually, I'll save the plot point for the third game. Talk a little bit about the second game. One of the moments that when I already played the game and already thought the Joker is brilliant. But what kind of cemented his status to being like, all right, this is like top tier villain right now is, I know this doesn't make any sense at all. Trust me, if you played the game and knew the context, you would get it. You would witness a musical number from the Joker. He is dancing around, I believe it was on a carousel, and he's just doing a Broadway vaudeville song for you. And basically, it's a catchy song, it's bouncy, it's happy, and he's basically describing all the different people he has murdered in Batman's life to Batman's face. He is joking around and singing this merry tune about crippling Batgirl, about murdering Jason Todd, about all these diabolical, horrible, absolutely awful things he's done. You know what? And it's catchy as hell. I just sing it to myself, singing about all these different people he's murdered. Another line that kind of is a perfect demonstration of, it's a really stupid throwaway line, but it never makes me not crack a smile, is he's basically taunting Batman the entire time, because that's Joker's deal. If he wanted to kill Batman, he could have probably killed Batman a long time ago. He just likes seeing Batman squirm. He just wants to go and break him down mentally, torture him. And so during one of his various spills, when he's trying to break Batman mentally, he's trying to get in his head, figure out, like, what is it, Batman, that you're really afraid of? Are you afraid of killing everybody that you know and them dying? Me killing them, like I've already killed so many people that you love. Are you afraid of letting Gotham City burn? Or are you afraid of me in a thong? Is that really what is like the most terrifying thing to you? And it's just like so hilarious. At the same time, it's pretty damn disturbing, and pretty horrible that he's just trying to go mess with Batman. But at the same time, it's just like, all right, this is obviously a guy that doesn't take himself seriously, and I absolutely love it. Probably, though, the definitive, most impactful moment from the Joker, though, in this entire series is the end of the second game. So again, here's the spoilers. It ends up that Joker dies at the end of the second game. He doesn't get his cure, not that Batman doesn't try, and he ends up dying. And what ends up happening is Batman can only make 2 doses of said cure. One he gives to himself. The second, it's kind of a little bit of like, oh, is he going to save the Joker's life or not? Joker, I won't spoil this, does yet again an absolutely horrible thing to Batman, and anybody else, in their right mind would be like, you know what? F the clown. Let him die for that. Joker, thinking that that's what Batman's going to do, attacks Batman from behind, stabs him to try to lower Batman's guard and steal said cure, which causes Batman to accidentally drop the vial, therefore destroying the cure and basically screwing over Joker's chance of getting cured. Cue Joker dying a minute later. And as he's dying, Batman, kind of in his own way, returns the favor and taunts Joker in return, saying, you know what's really funny? Despite all the horrible things you've done to me, everything, about you, I was actually going to give you that cure, before you stabbed me. And Joker starts cracking up and says, you know what? That actually is pretty funny. Ha 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 ha, and laughs himself to death. And it was a truly, truly haunting moment. So despite that, he actually does have a big role in the third game as well, Arkham Knight. Not going to get into that part because I've already given you enough spoilers. But the game very much demonstrates that Joker and Batman, I know this is said a lot, are 2 sides of the same coin. And I could have talked about The Dark Knight, the movie. I could have talked about Batman the Animated Series. They've made that same comparison and point themselves, but I don't think any piece of medium has made that point so well executed, so well done as the Arkham games. And I believe it's the ultimate venue of, yes, again, you can watch the animated series and get a taste of classic Joker moments, but nothing really was able to broadcast how hilarious, how horrible, and quite frankly, deep down inside, how endearing the Joker is than the Arkham games. And I want to say officially, Mark Hamill 100% completely retired from the Joker role with Arkham Knight. I don't think he's done anything with the Joker since. And while that's very, very sad, because again, to me, he's the definitive Joker, it also is kind of bittersweet because the Arkham Knight game, the way it ends, is just one of those like, all right, I'm sad this is over, but you couldn't have asked for any better of a send-off, not only for the Arkham franchise, but just, the legacy of Batman the Animated Series in general. So there we go. That's my guy. Any thoughts from you two gentlemen?
Yeah, definitely. I when I think of Mark Hamill, most people think of Luke Skywalker. I legit, when I think of Mark Hamill, the very first thing I think about is his work as the Joker from the Batman, the animated series, which was definitive for a lot of kids growing up, a lot of people our age, just because it was so good and revolutionary. Like that 90s show led to pretty much all the good things that DC has done, which is a shame to see some of the bad things they've done. But Mark Hamill was so good in that role. And I think one thing that made that, and this is one thing you hear quite a bit, is like, what makes a good hero, a good villain? What makes a good villain, a good hero? And the voice work of Kevin Conroy, who is Batman. Like, who's your favorite Batman? It's also Kevin Conroy for me, hands
Rest
down.
in peace.
Rest in peace, Kevin Conroy, a legend. So them playing off each other was just so good. And for you, it sounds like, Scott, what made Joker so memorable, at least the main points you were making, is just the individual moments and lead up and the tragic sort of arc of it. For me personally, it's just sometimes you just need a villain. You just need someone that's evil. You need some form of motivation. And there's really no villain that motivated Batman more. And I loved Arkham Asylum. That's one of the few games I actually did 100%. I got the 100% trophy or whatever it was
That's saying something.
on the
That's a tough one.
360. I know that the combat ones in particular were sweaty. I absolutely loved Asylum. I actually liked Asylum a bit more than City, but that's just, you know, it meant more to me because to me, Asylum felt like a true continuation of the 90s show, but also ramped up to where the fan base is currently. So it took like a PG show and gave us like a PG-13 video game with like, you know, they actually made the swears and things like that. And just seeing, it felt like seeing Mark Hamill go full Joker. I felt that's when we really got the full Joker, was his work in those video games. And that for me is why I love this as a choice as a top villain, is just because Mark Hamill did such a great job. And they said, hey, we're giving you more reign. We're giving you some real actual Joker juicy things that you can dive into and say and do. And Mark Hamill just knocked it out of the park. And the writing that they did is from the guys that made the source material of the 90s show. And that's where they were essentially spitting off of. It was a sequel to that 90s animated Batman show. And that's why it resonated with me so much, is I love that show growing up. And this is the game I needed. This is the game for me. And I love the way it became, and just the delivery from Joker, not just his lines, but the actual arc they gave with him. Phenomenal villain. 100% agree. Great choice. Yeah.
Yeah. And before I get into my point, Scott, tell me do the Joker laugh again as he died? I really want to hear this again.
Oh, good. Now you put me on the spot. Okay, now I gotta do this. You're right. That is kind of funny.
Oh no, that's not what you told us the first time. It was
all right.
ha, 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 ha.
There we go. Ha 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 ha.
Oh, I like that. I have nothing else to add other than it's crazy. So you see the design in the animated series of Joker, and you see the design, and especially the design in 2 when you see Joker just looking ragged. And Mark Hamill somehow fits both of those designs.
And weirdly, yeah. Sorry, go on.
So my point with that is, like, I'm not a voice actor. I know very little about that stuff, but I do know audio and audio cues, audio, soundtracks, things like that. And to be able to fit that voice perfectly and deliver the lines perfectly to fit each of those characterizations and literal, they look completely different from each other, and the voice fits both. Not many people can do that, and Mark Hamill did it. And for the longest time, I didn't know that Joker in the animated series, I didn't know that was Luke Skywalker. And when I found out, like, I watched Star Wars, when I found out that was Luke Skywalker, I called bullshit. I was like, no. And then I saw, and I was like, when Mark Hamill did it one day, I was like, whoa, I don't like this, but I kind of do, but I don't like this. This is weird. So it's a testament. I mean, he really, like, the writing of Joker in those games, top notch. Like, you guys hit it on the head. But that voice work, man, something else. It's otherworldly. He did so good.
Yeah, I know we talked a lot about the voice work, and again, like, all the credit in the world of Mark Hamill, but I'm really glad Mike made that last point. If it's not just a good voice actor carrying the entire character, it was the writing. And this may sound like the weirdest thing of all the things we say about Joker, I don't know about you guys, but me, like, probably what I thought was like the saddest scene in the entire game and the one that moved me the most was the very last scene of Batman walking on out of Arkham City, and the cops have their guns pointed because it's like, all right, Arkham City is full of a bunch of bad people. What's going on? Who's coming out right now? Oh, it's Batman. What's he doing? And he's just holding Joker's corpse and carrying him out, and he just rests Joker's corpse on a cop car hood. Very solemn, very, very sad, and then Batman just kind of flies off. And again, this is a guy that absolutely had it coming, horrible human being, but at the same time, you know, he's
You
dead.
still feel bad. You still feel
You
bad.
still feel bad. You still feel bad about it. He died a painful death, and he was a horrible person, and at the end, he could not be redeemed, and he was gone. After all those years, all those seasons of the show, he did cheat, and he came back again for another video game, but I'll just tell you right now, he is dead for the third game. It's all mind stuff. But
it's
anyway.
not comic revival. There's no comic
Yes.
revival. Yeah. Good picks. Great picks. Wonderful picks. That was a good one to end on, too. I'm glad I did.
Good part one. Good
Yeah.
job, gentlemen.
Yeah, good job. Well, hey, we're right on time. So, you know, next episode releasing later this week. I'm going to be doing the Scotty Porta Potty rant. Can't wait for that. And we're going to be talking about our S-class villains. I mean, we just went through those. Those were amazing. So you gotta tune in, and you gotta remember, man, hit that subscribe button. Tell all your friends. Go talk to your friends. Share this podcast with your friends who hate video games. They'll love us. Everybody loves us. We're delightful people, aren't we? I mean, yeah. Look at Scott's beard. I know, we're just great people. That sounds so awful. Anyway, you should subscribe. If you're listening on audio, you should go subscribe over to the YouTube channel, even if you're not going to watch. Go throw some comments. Who are your favorite video game characters? Who's your A class? Save your S class for next time, okay, in the next episode. And until then, as always, we appreciate you. You the best. And we'll catch you later. Bye.